Aloha Kauai, here's our COVID-19 briefing from Team Kauai for Monday, November 30th. We have seen an unprecedented surge in new infections on our island, most of them associated with travelers, both visitors and residents. Over the weekend, we had 4 new cases, 3 residents and 1 visitor. 2 of the residents tested positive prior to their trip to Kauai and flew home knowingly positive for COVID-19. These 2 travelers were subsequently arrested by the Kauai Police Department for second-degree reckless endangering. The Kauai Police Department and the National Guard are tracking approximately 1,500 individuals in travel-related quarantine. For additional information on our COVID cases, please visit kauai.gov/COVID-19. We know the topic of discussion this week is Rule 23, which Governor Ige approved last Friday and will go into effect on Wednesday, December 2nd. Rule 23 is a temporary moratorium on the Safe Travels program, meaning that starting Wednesday, all travelers to Kauai must quarantine for 14 days, regardless of whether you took a pre-travel test. The mandatory 14-day quarantine will apply to all travelers, including visitors and residents who are flying from the mainland and inter-island. Many are asking now that all incoming travelers are in quarantine, where can I stay? If you are a resident, you may fulfill your quarantine at home. You should isolate yourself from other household members as much as possible and avoid common areas. When you are around others in your household, please wear your mask. Visitors are also allowed to stay at a private residence so long as the property is not listed as a TVR, such as Airbnb or VRBO. As a reminder, per the governor's order, TVRs are prohibited to those in quarantine unless you are the listed property owner. Travelers can also stay in hotels and motels. However, during your quarantine period, you're not allowed to leave your hotel room. Any food and supplies you need while in quarantine must be delivered to you. Travelers also have the option of staying in an enhanced movement quarantine property, commonly referred to as resort bubbles. If you're staying in an approved resort bubble, you'll be able to leave your room and enjoy many of the amenities of the resort property while you're in quarantine, such as swim in the pool or take a walk around the property, so long as you don't leave the property. Approved resort bubbles include the Cliffs at Princeville, Hilton Garden Inn, Ko'akea, Kukui Ula, and Timbers. 3 other properties have their applications pending. The county's modified quarantine program remains in place for inter-island travelers, including critical infrastructure workers, essential medical travel, or other special circumstances. To apply for a modified quarantine, please visit www.kauai.gov/COVID-19 and click on the Modified Quarantine Request button at the top of the page. Trans-Pacific travelers seeking a modified quarantine request can go to the Attorney General's website at ag.hawaii.gov/travel exemption. We understand that a return to a mandatory quarantine will severely impact our visitor industry and those businesses that rely on our visitor industry. We have created many rules and guidelines over the course of the past 7 months, and this particular decision was the most difficult. Yes, we opted into the Safe Travels program back in October after our request to implement a mandatory post-travel test was denied. We also created a tier system in hopes of providing a baseline for us to make decisions moving forward. However, since that time, the number of COVID cases on the mainland has grown rapidly in a way that requires us to shift quickly. The 2-week trend of cases throughout the country has increased by over 43%. The West Coast is one of our strongest markets, and because of the raging case counts, the governors of Washington, Oregon, and California are all recommending against travel right now and have implemented a 14-day quarantine for incoming travelers into those states. In California alone, their case count has tripled in just 3 weeks' time. The governor of California has also recently ordered mandatory curfews for most of the counties throughout the state. Additionally, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, and Anchorage are now all on lockdowns. This is precisely the scenario we are trying to avoid, but our concern is that if we don't take action now, it will lead to more severe impacts down the line. Here is a COVID situation specific to Kauai. Prior to October 15th, Kauai had a total of 61 cases. Since the launch of Safe Travels on October 15th, we have had an additional 70 cases in a 6-week period. Of our 70 total cases since mid-October, 57 were travel-related, 35 had negative pre-travel tests, 16 had positive pre-travel tests received after arrival, and at least 2 of these knowingly flew with positive results. Our preference has and continues to be implementing a mandatory post-travel test with a shorter quarantine period. However, that request was denied, and without that program, we had little choice but to take a temporary pause from the single pre-test travel program until the national incidence of disease is stabilized. Until the mainland gets control over its infection rates, we need to protect our community. We need to protect our students so they can get back to school. We need to protect our workers so they don't need to fear getting infected on the job. We need to protect our larger communities so that we can enjoy the holiday season with as little risk as possible and with the fewest restrictions on activities. We know our healthcare industry has worked hard to build capacity in the event of a worst-case scenario, and while we have every confidence in our healthcare system, it would be unfair of us to push our doctors, nurses, and first responders to their maximum capacity. We want to avoid the level of disease and exhaustion that we're seeing in so many other states across the nation. With several vaccines close to being approved and distributed, we cannot allow our community to become sick now. While the economic impact of the quarantine is severe, the economic impact of sickness and a subsequent shutdown would be much worse. A healthy economy requires a healthy community. So we will continue to push the health and safety of our residents first and foremost. At any point, we can either offer stronger assurances with the Safe Travels program, or should the national outlook improve, we'll gladly revoke this moratorium. Kauai County, in partnership with the Hawaii State Department of Health, is providing free COVID-19 community testing at rotating sites every Sunday through the end of the year. These tests are available to all residents for free, including those who are uninsured. The next testing site will be this Sunday, December 6th, at the Brian J. Baptiste Sports Complex in Kapa'a, followed by December 13th at Hanapepe Stadium. Testing is available every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. through December 27th. Participants should register in advance at kauai.gov/test. Please bring your registration confirmation and an ID to the testing site. Test results are expected in 3 to 5 days. Save at least 15 minutes of wait time by pre-registering at kauai.gov/test. However, if you are experiencing symptoms and have health insurance, please contact your physician immediately. Do not wait for surge testing to be tested. There are still several food distribution programs underway on our island. The State Department of Education's Grab and Go School Meals program runs weekdays through Friday, December 18th. The program provides free meals to children ages 18 and younger. 1 lunch per child is provided. Please call your local school for serving times. The county and the 2 Kauai food banks are conducting the Kupa'a Kauai food distributions every week to the end of the year for food insecure individuals and families. Households can pick up food once per week but must pre-register. Registration starts on Saturdays for the next week, and you're asked to register at least 48 hours before the distribution. Please be sure your email is correct. To register or for distribution times and locations, please visit kauai.gov/COVID-19 and click on the green button that says Food Distribution. Finally, today we want to say mahalo to all of you for celebrating your Thanksgiving responsibly. KPD reports that it was a quiet weekend on Kauai, which indicates that people avoided large gatherings and were respectful of the rules. Thank you all for the continued sacrifices you make.